स्मार्टफोन की दुनिया में आजकल हर कोई 5G की बात कर रहा है, चाहे 5G स्मार्टफोन्स हो या फिर 5G नेटवर्क। एवरीबडी इज एक्साइटेड अबाउट द न्यू जनरेशन ऑफ वायरलेस टेक्नोलॉजी। और आज 5G पर बात करने के लिए मेरे साथ है एक वेरी स्पेशल गेस्ट, Xiaomi इंडिया के प्रेसिडेंट मुरलीकृष्णन भी। और आज मुरली से जान रहे हैं 5G टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में, Xiaomi एंड Redmi के 5G स्मार्टफोन्स के बारे में, अपकमिंग प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं उनकी भी बात करेंगे और भी काफी कुछ है। सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड। हाय मुरली, वेलकम टू अनकट, होप यू आर डूइंग ग्रेट।
Ayaz, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
थैंक्स मुरली फॉर योर टाइम। सबसे पहले आई वुड आस्क कि Xiaomi के लिए ये साल कैसा रहा? इफ यू कैन टेक अस थ्रू दैट जर्नी, बिकॉज 2 साल से लगातार हम इंटरप्शंस देख रहे थे 2020 2021 में, एंड उसके बाद ये साल ऐसा रहा जहाँ पर इंटरप्शंस नहीं थे, बट स्टिल काफ़ी चैलेंजेस थे Xiaomi के लिए, स्मार्टफोन मैन्युफैक्चरर्स के लिए।
अयाज, देखो, स्मार्टफोन मार्केट एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो हर एक साल कुछ ना कुछ नया एक्साइटमेंट लाता है। फॉर द लास्ट 2 years, we've had our share of supply chain shortages, COVID impact, lockdowns, the offline trade getting impacted, and especially the lower end of the segment starting to feel a crunch. But ये साल, the supply chain shortages, I think with some degree of confidence, I can say the supply chain shortages are behind us. But the next big opportunity that has come up this year is one of 5G, right? In the beginning of the year, everybody was expecting the 5G networks roll out. Abhi roll out ho gaye hain. 5G devices are out there in the market. And honestly, pretty much Xiaomi is focused on how do we make the same impact with 5G that we did with 4G. If you take a step back and if you just look at the evolution of Xiaomi in India over the last 8 years, we had like one clear focus, which is to democratize technology. और ये 3 चीज जो every Xiaomi phone we try and deliver, which is best of specs, highest quality and honest pricing. वो कमाल अपने 4G मार्केट में देख लिया। आज जो हम डिजिटल इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट, सम क्रेडिट, लाइक छोटा सा क्रेडिट हम लोग ये लोग क्लेम करेंगे कि यार Xiaomi के कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो डिजिटल इंडिया रेवोल्यूशन में। एंड व्हाई डिड दैट हैपन? बिकॉज वी इंट्रोड्यूस 4G स्मार्टफोन्स बिलो द 10,000 रुपी प्राइस पॉइंट एंड मेड इट अफोर्डेबल, एंड दैट set forth a complete revolution. And today here we are pretty much with ubiquitous 4G access and everybody excitedly looking forward to the 5G revolution that is actually right around the corner.
True, Murali, I'll have some questions on 5G too, but उससे पहले I would refer to an IDC report which states कि इंडिया में Q3 में अभी स्मार्टफोन शिपमेंट्स काफ़ी कम हुए हैं, 10% गिर गए हैं। Xiaomi के शिपमेंट्स 18% कम हुए हैं। तो you're still at the top, but what led to this fall in shipment?
Actually, I'll call out 2-3 factors, and some of these are macroeconomic, some of these are sectoral. One, the last 2 years saw a huge upsurge in demand for smartphones because everybody wanted to work from home, learn from home. The typical 1-2 smartphone household became a 3-4 smartphone household, right? To a large extent, वो pent up demand जो है वो शायद सर्विस हो गया था. That was point number 1. Point number 2, let's look at price bands in the smartphone segment. हम लोग, so the 3 key price bands are less than 10,000, which perhaps is about 40% of the market, 10 to 20,000, which is another 40%, and above 20%, which is another 20-25%. Rough approximation. Now, if you take the less than 10,000 rupee price point, ये जो inflation हम देख रहे हैं, right, consumer price inflation, that inflation का impact वो price band में काफी बड़े तौर पे impact किया उसने. Right? Because if a 6,000-7,000 rupees smartphone gets more expensive by, let's say, 500-700 rupees, मतलब 10% का inflation है उसमें, right? And that makes it unaffordable to many of those users who are first time smartphone users जो feature phone से smartphone upgrade कर रहे हैं। और दूसरी बात यह है कि ये segment probably they don't have a credit history, they don't have access to credit solutions, जो affordability solutions हम लोग कहते हैं। So that market, the less than 10,000 market, is the one that shrunk the most. Now, in the other end of the segment, greater than 20,000, अगर आप segment देखेंगे तो that segment is growing rapidly, right? Because people who have the affordability are excitedly buying these 5G phones and quickly upgrading. But the segment in the middle, जो 10 से 20,000 का segment है, that is where we are observing a lot of customers, their existing 4G phones, उसका life cycle ज़्यादा हो रहा है क्योंकि they're waiting saying we will get a 5G option. 10 से 15,000 में और 5G options आएंगे. So people are waiting for 5G networks to roll out. So basically the upgrade cycles have got deferred in the mid-range segment. So different segments, price bands have a different reason. But it is a reality that some of the macroeconomic overhang that we are seeing, and especially the inflation, has definitely eaten into the affordability in the lower end segment, and that has caused a decline in the market.
बोले यू मीन कि अगर 500 रुपए भी किसी अफोर्डेबल स्मार्टफोन पर बढ़ जाते हैं तो उससे बड़ा इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है। बट पिछले 2 साल में वी हैव बीन थ्रू दिस ट्रेंड की जो अफोर्डेबल फ़ोन्स हैं, सस्ते फ़ोन्स हैं, उनके प्राइसेस बढ़ रहे हैं लगातार। फ़ोन में जो स्पेक्स हमें 1.5-2 साल पहले 12,000 रुपये मिल रहे थे वो 14 से 15,000 रुपये मिल रहे हैं। अगर हम रेडमी की फ़ैन फेवरेट नोट सीरीज़ की बात करें तो उसके प्राइसेस भी जो है वो भी बढ़ रहे हैं। सो अफोर्डेबल फ़ोन्स भी महंगे होते जा रहे हैं, ऐसा क्यों?
Again, two, three factors. The first one, and this is played out mostly in late 2020, early 2021, was the global chipset shortage. And that clearly impacted entry-level 4G chipset the most, right? There was a substantial increase in pricing of that, number one. Number two, there was a global increase in shipping costs, right? Both air freight and sea shipment, the shipping costs increase, which resulted in an increase in component pricing also, right? And all of this, the maximum impact that it had was in the less than 10,000 segment, and which is where you saw that price increases happening. However, Xiaomi is committed to democratizing technology. And this year, if you see, in the last 6 to 9 months, we have already launched 3 4G phones in the less than 10,000 segment at fantastic price points. For example, we had the Redmi A1, which is priced at 6,299, and then the Redmi A1 Plus, just a shade below 7,000, and then we had the Redmi 10A, which is about 7,499, right? So three fantastic options, full featured, great display, great camera, great battery, overall fantastic experience for the entry-level smartphone segment. So we are still razor-sharp focused in providing unmatched value even to the entry-level segment, despite all the challenges that we are seeing on the pricing front. And of course, the other angle which I forgot to mention earlier is the relative depreciation of the Indian rupee versus the US dollar, which also impacts pricing.
Fine, Muli. Now let's talk about 5G. Actually, everybody is talking about 5G, so are we. Now please tell us कि customers के लिए 5G क्या changes लेकर आ रहा है?
Ayaz, look, the core benefits of 5G शायद सब लोग जानते हैं. You get fantastic bandwidth, you get low latency, you get high concurrency. And मैं basic चीज जो बोलूँगा, what are the use cases? Sure, one can talk about ultra HD content, one can talk about cloud gaming, one can talk about better videography, one can talk about some of those use cases, online learning and so on and so forth. But it is my belief that the best use cases of 5G are still to be discovered, right? And the way we need to think about it is when you provide the technology platform, when you provide the devices, when there is prevalent network spread, then there are enough number of smart people, especially in India, who are able to leverage those opportunities and create new use cases. And it could be, multifarious. For example, you could have consumer use cases, you could have industrial use cases, right? ये जो metaverse की बात कर रहे हैं, AR, VR की बात कर रहे हैं, perhaps, telepresence. 5G can enable such use cases. But honestly, I'm equally excited about some of the industrial use cases, right? Which 5G can present. And it all boils down to two key aspects, right? Once you have what we call real-time monitoring with 5G devices, with IoT sensors and so on and so forth, right? With absolute low latency. So you'll get immediate feedback and you're able to layer on automation on top of that. That kind of impact of 5G is what will transform healthcare, it will transform industry and manufacturing, it can transform education, it can transform oil and gas, it can transform just so many different sectors. It can transform logistics and warehousing, it can transform retailing. Those are the big multi-billion-dollar use cases of 5G that will actually open up in the near future.
Yes, Murli, a lot would be discovered as we walk that path of 5G. So, Murli, what opportunities you as OEM are looking at when it comes to 5G? Because अगले साल 5G market जो है वो और ज़्यादा बड़ा हो रहा है.
Yes, if I were to look at the 5G market in India, so earlier it was the above 20,000 segment where majority of the devices sold were 5G, and then slowly it dropped to the 15 to 20,000 segment, and now you're looking at the 10 to 15,000 segment with meaningful 5G propositions. Honestly, if you ask me, we believe that the 10 to 15,000 price point is the absolute sweet spot for affordable 5G devices, right? And that is where you're able to offer uncompromised 5G solutions to the customers. For example, we just launched a phone called the Redmi 11 Prime 5G a couple of months ago, which is priced at 12,999. It's got everything that the consumer can effectively expect, and that'll continue to be our focus. Have more meaningful propositions in the 10 to 15,000 price point for 5G, because that is when mass adoption will truly kick off. Of course, people will also wait for networks to roll out, and I'm sure the large telecom operators in the country are working on the 5G network rollout, but we also want to ensure the device availability, especially in the affordable range, is ahead of the curve, so that when the networks are available, people have our Redmi 11 Prime 5G and equivalent options to choose from.
राइट बोली, अभी हमने देखा कुछ हफ्ते पहले कई 5G स्मार्टफोन मॉडल्स में 5G नेटवर्क काम नहीं कर रहा था। जहां पर 5G नेटवर्क अवेलेबल थे वहां पर भी नहीं चल पा रहे थे 5G। फिर फर्म्स ने कहा, कंपनियों ने कहा कि वो अपडेट रोल आउट करेंगे एंड देन इट विल वर्क। सो Xiaomi के कितने फोन्स में इस वक्त 5G चल रहा है? क्या ये अपडेट वाला इशू आपके साथ भी है? ऑल्सो एक और क्वेश्चन है स्टैंडअलोन 5G कनेक्टिविटी पर कि क्या अपडेट है स्टैंडअलोन 5G कनेक्टिविटी पे, वो कैसे मिलेगा सपोर्ट लोगों को?
So we have, I think, 22 5G devices that we have launched till now, and we have shipped about 7 million 5G devices in this country thus far. All of them, from day one, support the NSA network without the need for any update, nothing, right? So NSA support is available for 100% of the devices. With respect to the standalone networks, as of yesterday, 16 devices have the update rolled out to support standalone mode on 5G for our entire 5G portfolio, and the rest will follow shortly. In fact, if you were to benchmark this with all the smartphone companies in India, we'll probably be amongst the best in terms of 5G support both on NSA and SA. And this is the result of us collaborating very, very closely with both Airtel and Jio over the course of the last 2 years. There's been a lot of collaboration in terms of doing the trials, understanding what bands, etc., and being able to tune the entire solution to ensure that the customer is having a compelling experience.
So Murali, even the budget smartphones would get the standalone 5G support?
For example, the most affordable 5G range for us would be the Redmi 11 Prime 5G. Yes, that will also get the standalone support.
थैंक्स, दैट्स ग्रेट मुरली। नाउ एक क्वेश्चन लेते हैं जो अक्सर कस्टमर्स पूछ रहे हैं कि क्या वो अभी 5G फ़ोन खरीदें या फिर जो इस वक्त 4G मॉडल्स आ रहे हैं वो भी अच्छे हैं, केपेबल हैं। बिकॉज अभी पूरी तरह एक तो 5G कनेक्टिविटी अवेलेबल नहीं है। ऑल्सो वी नो कि अफोर्डेबल 5G फ़ोन्स में हार्डवेयर में कुछ कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हो जाते हैं, अक्सर होते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक 4G फ़ोन में एमोलेड स्क्रीन मिल जाएगी एंड उसी रेंज में, उसी प्राइस में 5G मॉडल में वी गेट IPS LCD पैनल। सो व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट टू द कस्टमर्स?
Ayaz, our approach to 5G has always been what we call pragmatic, right? In all the key price points, especially 10 to 15,000 and 15 to 20,000 में 20,000 के ऊपर तो 5G होना चाहिए, उसमें कोई मतलब डिबेट है नहीं. But between to 10, 15, 15 to 20, in all key price points, you have to offer both 4G and 5G options. अगर आप देखें तो in the month of March, we launched the Redmi Note series. The Redmi Note 11 Pro and the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus 5G. Devices similar in many ways, except for the fact that the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus 5G had 5G support and the Redmi Note 11 Pro was 4G, right? Price maybe 2,000-3,000 apart from each other. And that's the approach that we will take. Even in the 10 to 15,000 segment, you have the Redmi 11 Prime 5G and you have other 4G options. So let the customer decide, especially in this transition phase. As long as you're able to provide meaningful choice to the customers, let the customer be the judge of what they want to adopt, right? For example, in online, we're seeing a much higher preference for 5G as opposed to the offline retail market. Maybe offline retail market might take another few more months, and I don't know how long, maybe 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is, for 5G adoption to truly kick in which case at that point of time, our portfolio of 4G and 5G across the entire range will be available there also.
Finally, you are saying customers' habit अभी change हुई है जब से 5G की बात हो रही है.
Especially with the rollout, with all the news that people are reading, we are seeing a further increase in 5G, especially if you look at some of the Diwali sale, especially in online, 5G had substantial traction in terms of device sales.
Now, another important question on 5G, Murali, is from customer side कि क्या आगे चल के 5G handsets के prices अभी कम होंगे?
Yes, look, if I were to look at history, typically that's how it's worked, right? I mean, जो Moore's law कहते हैं, after a point of time, the cost of technology, especially high tech, keeps coming down, and the key determinant here is chipset prices, right? Over a period of time, with increasing scale and volume, economies of scale will kick in, and chipset prices will continue to come down. But I still believe, in order to provide a complete experience, right, you still need to have not just 5G. Like just 5G is not enough in a phone. You still need a good display, which needs to have high refresh rate. You need at least a 5000 mAh battery with at least 33 watt fast charging, and you need a decent enough camera, right? These are things that customers are not going to compromise on. And therefore, keeping all of this together, I think the complete package is possible primarily in the 10 to 15,000 segment. That is why I'm saying that is the one that will be the game changer segment for 5G.
Yes, that's the most interesting segment, Murli. Now let's talk about the customer buying habits. So Murli, 10 से 12,000 रुपए में इस वक्त जो लोग स्मार्टफोन्स खरीद रहे हैं, एज अ होल उनकी टॉप प्रायोरिटी क्या चल रही है?
Number one is display, right? People want a large display because there's just so much video consumption that is happening in this country. In fact, the number one used app in this country is YouTube, right? That's number one. Number two is battery life and being able to charge within a reasonable amount of time, right? That would be the number two preference. Number three, of course, and sorry, maybe it is somewhere in bit, somewhere along with number one and number two, is a lag-free experience. People don't want their phone to hang, and therefore a very cheap chipset or an underpowered chipset or having phones with 1 GB RAM. I think those days are gone. Hardly anybody today will prefer to buy a smartphone with, let's say, 1 GB of RAM, because even if you're not playing high-end games, worst case, you're at least playing like basic Candy Crush. And you're multitasking between Candy Crush and WhatsApp and YouTube, उसमें hang नहीं होना चाहिए. I think these are the three key considerations that customers have from the entry-level segment. And all of these are very, very meaningful concerns for them.
Okay, Murli, I'll talk about smartphone camera now. 12 Pro में हमने देखा कि it had a great camera. उससे पहले 11 Ultra was best in class. So आगे next year में कैमरा में और क्या अपग्रेड हमें आपकी तरफ से देखने को मिल सकता है?
I think we've already demonstrated that. आपने देखा होगा Xiaomi 12s Ultra जो हमने launch किया, where the entire camera is done and tuned, including the lens, in partnership with Leica. And Leica, of course, is the global leader in optics technology. I think there has been a fantastic partnership. There's great learning on both sides, and we'd look to strengthen that partnership. And we have demonstrated the Xiaomi 12s Ultra to many people, many friends in the media here in India. Hopefully we'll continue that partnership, and who knows, maybe there could be some such phones also being launched here.
Fine, Murli, a lot of things are happening in the smartphone world right now. इसमें we have seen कि Xiaomi under its Redmi umbrella has been doing great in the budget and mid-range segments. But what's going on in the flagship and premium segment? We saw several models from you, including the 12 Pro this year.
Ayaz, I'll actually take a trip down memory lane. 2.5 years ago, in the beginning of 2020, when we started working on our plans to make a big impact on the premium smartphone segment, a lot of people kind of literally dismissed us, saying Redmi phone is known for great affordable phones, but 20-30,000 का phone शायद आप लोग बेच नहीं पाएंगे. ये feedback हमें मिला, right? But we dug deep into our resources, and we have launched a series of Xiaomi smartphones, starting from the Mi 10, the Mi 10i, Mi 11 Ultra. We got the 120 watt charger in the Mi 11i Hypercharge, and we also most recently launched the Xiaomi 12 Pro 5G. This has been a fantastic learning experience for us. These have been received very, very positively, both online and offline. And in fact, offline market, our retail market, is the one where there is substantially higher opportunity for us to do even better in the premium smartphone segment. In fact, even recently, we had the Redmi K50i, which we launched, which is the premium smartphone offering from the Redmi part of the house. So overall, it has been a wonderful journey in the last couple of years, and we only hope to double down on our focus on the premium smartphone segment.
Only budget and mid-range segment में तो as I said, you people own the market, but flagship segment में you face a lot of challenges. Samsung sits there quite comfortably. OnePlus is also joining in, and of course Apple तो हमेशा से है वहाँ पे. So flagship segment के challenges आप कैसे face कर रहे हैं?
Ayaz, look, challenges in the market are always there. Look, competition has a right to sell in the market, so do we. But Xiaomi's thinking has always been very clear that we need to be friends with our users. You understand the users well. You kind of leverage each of those insights in putting together great propositions. Look, it is not just about fantastic specs. People want a great all-round experience and stuff that serves my need, whether I'm watching video, whether I'm shooting, let's say, my own selfie, or I'm shooting a landscape picture, or I'm gaming. People want a complete all-round proposition. And given all the innovation that we have across the world. In the Xiaomi series, we're able to bring all of that learning and put together these amazing solutions to serve the needs of the Indian market. So focus on the consumer, ensure that the product is the hero, and continue providing fantastic quality and service. As long as we are focused on doing this in an affordable price point with honest pricing, we believe we will continue getting stronger. Yes, we have some distance to traverse. We are very, very strong in the entry level and mid-level segment. We have some distance to go in the premium segment, but hey, Rome was not built in a day.
एग्जैक्टली रोम वॉज नॉट बिल्ट इन अ डे। बोलिए आजकल फोल्डेबल फोन्स भी आ रहे हैं वैसे मार्केट में एज अ न्यू स्टाइल स्टेटमेंट फ्रॉम ब्रांड्स, तो Xiaomi की तरफ से हम इंडिया में फोल्डेबल फोन्स कब देख सकते हैं?
So right now our foldable phones, in fact we have launched 2 fold series phones in our China market. We will continue evaluating opportunities here. I think there is some distance for us to traverse. I know some others have foldable phones in India. There is some distance for us to traverse before we decide on launching 4G phones in India. But even otherwise, we have absolutely compelling propositions like the Xiaomi 12 Pro 5G, which has got DSLR equivalent sort of camera features and a fantastic large display with 120 Hertz refresh rate, which most people are appreciating. The foldable phones is a interesting use case, but we'll still have to assess how large that market opportunity is.
Fine, Murali. Now let us know more about your long-term strategy in India as a manufacturer. And एक और क्वेश्चन यहाँ पर आता है कि you have Redmi, you have Poco, of course Xiaomi. So how you people manage this in-house competition?
Let me first talk about our plans from a product perspective. Look, our focus on delivering innovation for everyone will always remain. It is not just smartphones where we've spoken enough about 5G, right? 5G will be a key area of focus for us going forward. But the other part of the house, which perhaps we haven't spoken much about, is what happens on the AIoT segment. Right? Xiaomi today is not just the number one smartphone brand, but we are also the number one smart television brand, with the number one smart robo vacuum cleaner brand, number one smart security camera brand, right? And there are so many other segments in AIoT, both wearables, hearables, and smart home products. We'd love to have a lot more focus in ensuring that our smart IoT range and smart home range is adopted a lot more so that people can get to a smarter lifestyle. So focus on 5G, focus on AIoT. That's one goal that I will talk about. The other goal for us will be our commitment to Make in India. Right? We've been manufacturing our products in India ever since 2015. In fact, today, maybe 99% of our smartphones, 100% of our smart TVs are all locally made. But we've also made a lot of progress in deepening our supply chain ecosystem to component sourcing, right? That also happens locally. Today, battery, charger, USB cable, front and back cover, camera module, all of that is sourced locally. We want to expand that. We want to start sourcing display locally. We want to start sourcing vibrator module locally. We want to start sourcing flexible printed circuit locally, right? So that is our commitment to this nation, and hence broadening and deepening our ecosystem becomes the other big area of focus. Now, in terms of our product portfolio, of course, we have Redmi and Xiaomi. Poco continues to be another independent sub-brand for us. It is best that the Poco team comments on it. But as far as we are concerned, Redmi and Xiaomi continue to be the mainstay of our entire portfolio. Redmi focuses on democratizing technology, and Xiaomi is all about delivering the best class innovation to our customers. And both of these are omni-channel brands available both online and in the offline trade. And if you look at it, both of them contribute roughly 50% across both online and offline for us.
Good. Murali, you said कि you plan to source displays and other things locally. So यहाँ पर एक क्वेश्चन आता है, एक्सपेंशन प्लान पर आ जाएगा कि अभी Xiaomi devices, Foxconn and other facilities मैन्युफैक्चर हो रहे हैं. So क्या आगे चलकर कोई डेडिकेटेड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैसिलिटी भी एस्टेब्लिश करने का प्लान है?
Look, it has always been our model to work, to focus on your core competence. Our core competence is to build great products, to do fantastic marketing by understanding customers and ensure that we operate the sales and distribution network to reach the far corners of the country, right? And that is and of course, provide great service to our customers. Ye hamari core competence hai. When it comes to manufacturing, we find it is always best to work with जो manufacturing के महारथी हैं, right? Those who are experts in that. And that is why we have Bharat FIH, we have Flex, we have Dixon, and these are all large partners that we work with who do all the manufacturing and assembly for us. And we'll continue following that model.
Fine. Thanks a lot, Murali, for this insightful conversation. It was a pleasure to connect with you. Hope ki next time we'll connect soon. Wish you the best in the coming days.
Ayaz, this has been such an enriching conversation. Thank you so much. It was great fun.
Thanks, Murali. Take care.
you.